that is a time when it's usually snowy up here, and this is like the harshest weather in Canada at that point. You have the highest chances of getting an admission during the May intake. You will face that heat when you're applying for jobs here. Okay guys, so welcome back to my channel, and also welcome back to a very new video. Let's just begin the shit, man. Yeah, so for the ones who know me, my name is Jaswin, and for the ones who don't know me, it's still Jaswin. It's a mandatory dialogue I have to. So it's been 4 months since I came here in Canada, and like one of the most major questions I received from my friends and my colleagues are like, which intake to choose to start your studies in Canada. Now I believe that if you're watching this video, you probably have decided the fact that you are gonna start your studies in Canada, be it your bachelor's, be it your master's, be it your postgraduate certificate. Like, my friends have been in situations, I have been in the situation where I have to choose an intake from the given intakes that we have, when to go, when to start your studies, and when exactly is the right time to go. So I'll be speaking about 10 major factors that will help you answer this question, whether which intake you should be going for. By the end of this video, you should be in a position to know the answer for the question, like which intake is the best for you, which intake is right for you, and which intake is better to prepare for. So before we move on, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I have been like making time for myself to make these kind of videos for you all, so that you can get benefited from this. And make sure you like this video and share this video to anyone who wants to know how exactly the lifestyle works in Canada. I keep making these kinds of videos so that you can know how exactly the processes are, because I have been in that position. I know the pain that you should be going through if you are really want to start your education in Canada. That's all. Let's just hop on to the video. So intake. Now what is intake? Intake is basically a month or a particular period of time from when you are gonna start your education. It doesn't have to do anything with like how when you are gonna end your education. It just means when you're gonna start your education in Canada. And trust me, in Canada and US, the processes are very similar, the terms are very similar, but still, like, we are talking about Canada, so pretty much applies to US as well. So but yeah, let's move on to the intake section in Canada. So here's how it goes. Like, there are like basically 3 major intakes that takes place in Canada, and this happens like in different times of the year. So the first major intake that we have is like the most popular intake. It's called the fall intake, and it starts in the month of September. Then the second most popular intake that we have here in Canada is called the winter intake. It's also called as a spring intake by some people, but mostly it's called as the winter intake because of the reason that it starts in the month of January, and that is a time when it's usually snowy up here, and this is like the harshest weather in Canada at that point. Then we have the so-called intake called the summer intake, and that starts in the month of May. So yeah, now since we know what the intakes are, let's look at like how these intakes differentiate from each other, so that you can get to know how exactly to choose the intake for yourself. When you're about to choose your intake, the first major factor that you should be looking at is the popularity. So basically, trust me, fall intake is like the most popular intake in Canada, not just in Canada but in US as well. This is an intake where most of the college courses are available. That means most of the seats are available, most of the colleges open courses. That means like most of the course catalog, that means mostly 100% of the course catalog is like available for this intake. That means a lot of courses are available, and that also means that a lot of international seats are available. So this pretty much proves the fact that a lot of international applications are coming from all across the world. So you can expect most of the international students like coming from all across the countries during this particular September intake, which is called the fall intake. Then we have the second intake, which is the winter intake. This is not really as much as popular as the fall intake, but still it is pretty much popular, decently popular, moderately popular among the international students, because it is mostly an intake where most of the international students who missed out on the fall intake still start applying for this. But in terms of summer intake, among the 3 major intakes that we talked about, summer intake is like the least popular intake, because this is an intake which starts in the month of May, and this is a time when usually the students from other intakes usually take a break, which we will talk about later in this video. This is the least popular intake. This has the least number of courses, the least number of applications, and the least number of seats available. This is how it goes. For the summer intake, they have a course catalog of somewhere around 30 to 40%. So basically they just keep the most popular courses from their course catalog. For the winter intake, the course catalog usually goes by 50 to 60%. It is very less than the fall intake where it was like 95 to 100%, but then this 50 to 60% is like usually targeted towards the international audience who are like still looking for the most popular courses, but still like they kind of missed out on the fall intake. So this kind of compensates for all those international students who still wanna like not end up waiting another year, but still can just wait for 3 to 4 months and still start their studies up here in Canada. Now, the second factor that you should be considering while choosing your intake for yourself is the climatic conditions. Trust me, this is one of the major factors to consider when you're looking for coming to Canada. If you're coming to Canada, you pretty much know that Canada is a cold country, and like most of the time you will feel that chills and cold. So if you are someone who is having problems with breathing problems or something, anything like that, I don't mean that you are gonna have any pollution or any kind of air quality stuff, but then if you're having like if you're really prone to get inside a cold weather and you start having breathing problems, Canada is not the place for you guys. You should look somewhere else so that you won't have any problems in the long run. But then yeah, this is how it goes. Climatic conditions, if you're someone who is coming for the fall weather, trust me, this is the best time to visit this country. So this usually starts in the month of September, and the weather that we have, the climate that we have is mostly the autumn. And this is a time when like the winter is about to start and the summer is about to end, so it's kind of in the middle of the summer and the winter. So it's like the most ideal time to visit this country as well, like because you can still like roam around with your full like without jackets, but still be a little bit trendy, have a moderate fashion stuff and all, like explore the country, explore the places around you, meet new people, because this is still a time when a lot of people are moving outside. Then in terms of winter, I would say it's a lot snowy around in Canada, and if you're someone who is going to Vancouver side, you can still feel it may not be as snowy as the regions in Ontario and Quebec, all these places, because I personally live in Toronto, which is in Ontario, and like trust me, the winters here go as bad as like -20 to -25, and you have to be prepared for it. So if you are someone who is coming here for the first time and hasn't seen snow, so you probably might end up struggling a little bit to adjust to these surroundings and these kind of weathers, because it's not really easy to catch up with these conditions. Because if you're someone who was coming for the fall, you probably have still time to just experience that transition from the summer to the winter. So you don't have to buy jackets like the very first day when you come, but when you come for the winter intake, you probably have to end up buying winter boots, winter jackets, and that is a lot of additional expenses, somewhere around $200 to $250, and it depends on like how you want to spend on your stuff. But these are the things that you will have to end up buying if you are coming for the winter intake. And yeah, this is how it goes. And in terms of the summer intake, I would say that again, it's a pleasant weather here, and this is very close to what we have in India as well. And if you're someone from outside the India, if you have the hot weather, the usually temperature here goes around like 20 to 25 degrees, and like usually it like fluctuates over that point. And that is how the summers are. Although the summers are like not as scorching hot as like the places like in Delhi where I used to live, but still these are hot enough for you to get tan if you stay in the sun for like 2 to 3 hours. Just make sure that you are not really doing that all of that fun stuff. Here's the fun part: if you're someone who's coming for the summer intake, you still are gonna meet a lot of people, because this is a time when a lot of people move outside. And unfortunately, who is coming for the winter intake are not gonna see a lot of people around. You will see a lot of people sitting inside homes, everyone inside their blankets, everyone like try to move less. They will usually stay inside houses. You won't see a lot of new people around. You will mostly see only the workers who are like trying day and night to clean the roads with the snow and fall and all. Like they have to clean the snowfall, that's the duty, so they have to eventually come and do this stuff. Now the third major factor that you should be considering while coming to Canada is the part-time opportunities. Trust me, Canada 4 years back is very different from what Canada today is. So a lot of part-time opportunities used to be there in Canada like 4 years back, but now, since a lot of international students are already present here, it's kind of a fight to get a job here. So you have to make sure that you are really fighting for a job up here, because it's not easy, because for the same job they are getting 10 different people to apply. You can easily find 10 people, 100 people applying for the same exact position. So you have to be competitive, and you will find competition. You will face that heat when you're applying for jobs here. If you are a student, you will have a limit of 20 hours to work, but then a lot of people I know are not really getting those 20 hours to cover the expenses. They still keep working because they have to do this part and make sure that they are earning money enough for the bad times that they will have in the future days, because Canada is a very unexpected country and you can face unexpected scenarios in over the coming days if you're not really taking care of it. Yeah, that's how it goes. And part-time opportunities for the fall intake students, trust me, you have pretty much good part-time opportunities, because as I said, a lot of people go outside. That indirectly means a lot of people would like to shop around. That means a lot of stores are open, and indirectly it means a lot of workers are required. And if a lot of workers are required, a lot of positions are available. That gives you the chance to apply for those positions, and probably you have a much better chance of getting that job. So that's how it goes. So part-time opportunities for fall are pretty good compared to the other intakes. Now we'll talk about the winter intake. Trust me, you're coming at a worst time in Canada at that point if you're coming for the winter intake. But then yeah, this is how it goes. Part-time jobs during the winter is the hardest to find, to be honest. People are not going outside, stores are not open too much now, a lot of workers are not required. That means it pretty much eliminates a lot of job opportunities. So you have to fight a lot to get a job. Probably I was not able to get a job during the winter, and a lot of my friends were not able to get a job during winters as well. You have to make sure that you're still prepared for those situations, and winters are not really easy to find a job for yourself. So this is not easy, but yeah, exceptions are always there and you can still end up finding a job. This is the usual scenario, the general scenario which I was talking about, because I have asked a lot of people and I'm talking about 70 to 80 people. I'm not talking about 4 to 5 people. So out of the 70 to 80 people who were jobless in winter was around 50 to 60. So it's a serious scenario to look at. Now in terms of summer intake, I would say that the job opportunities are again good. If you're coming and you're studying during that time, a lot of people are going outside, a lot of opportunities are there. Probably you will get a chance to apply for those and get a job as quickly as possible as well. So yeah, you can easily find a job for summer and fall, but not really that easy for winters. So the fourth major factor that you should consider while choosing the intake for Canada is the amount of internships, the co-ops and the full-time opportunities that you get around with the course that you're studying. If you are someone who is coming for the fall intake, you'll probably meet a lot of job fairs around here. These job fairs are events where a lot of companies come out with their banners and all, and they take on the spot interviews so that they can just take you spot on. So it depends on if you are a good candidate, they can take you right away into their company so that you can work for them. So the good thing is you have a lot of opportunities, and this eventually gives you an advantage over the other intake students, because you have the potential to end your studies during the month of April. That gives you a window to apply for a job and apply for a work permit right after you get your job. So this is how it goes. If you get your job, applying for a work permit becomes easy, and you can pretty much stay away from any kind of complications in the future. So this is a great way. You have the best time to start your studies, you have the best time to end your studies, and you have the best time to get your full-time opportunities as well. It goes on for co-ops, because a lot of companies don't post their co-op opportunities during winters. A lot of them post their co-ops during the months of summer intake and the fall intake. So during the months of May and during the months of September, these are the usual months where you can easily find a co-op or a full-time opportunity as well. But during the month of January, you are not easily gonna find. But because fall intake students usually end their studies during the month of April, you still have a good chance of securing a job right after you end your education, or even if before you end your education. But if you're someone who's coming for the winter intake, it's not as bad as summer, but it's not as good as fall as well. You guys are pretty much like right in the middle of these two intakes. You have to make sure that you are ending your studies by the month of like, what do you say, the next April or May, something like that. If not all, like make sure you end it at least by the month of like August, so that you can still have that time to apply for jobs and get a full-time opportunity. So that's how it goes. And if you're like someone who is coming for the summer intake, trust me, the job fairs and these things are really targeted towards the fall intake students, so you guys don't have that advantage. You have to like search for other job fairs in general which happen around your intake students, so that you can still end up finding a job. See, things are not like impossible, things are difficult, that's all what I say. Now the fifth major factor to look at while you're choosing an intake is the availability of a summer break or a fall break, whatever that is. Break is usually a given period of time that is given to students after completing 1 or 2 semesters, so that they can take that time to chill off, maybe do some part-time opportunities, do some full-time opportunities. Maybe they can use that time to do some recreational purposes activities like hiking, going all around, like maybe traveling, all that fun stuff. This is given usually for 4 months between your education, so that you can get some time off your education and you can like use your mind to refresh yourself, so that you can use that for the next semester that you're gonna begin, and you can have a fresh mindset to start your studies again. So this is usually given to all the fall students. I have not heard about a college which is not giving you a summer break for the fall intake students. They usually complete 2 semesters of education, September to December and January to April, but then after that they get an optional like break of 4 months that is last from the month of May to August. If you're someone who is coming for the winter intake, you probably, it depends on the college. For me it was there, but a lot of people don't really get it for like their intake. You have to ask your management. The best way, if you don't want to ask your management, is to ask your friends who are currently studying in that university or college. You can ask them, or any of the alumni who have been there like previously, you can still ask them if they really have like breaks for the winter intake students or not. For me it was there. A lot of colleges don't apply, so it depends on the college. And in terms of summer, I would say you guys pretty much don't have the opportunity to have a break soon, because you guys came during the intake when other students are actually having a break. So you will find no one in the college other than your own intake students. Break also gives you the opportunity to earn a lot of money through the full-time opportunities that you have. So you can earn that money and save it for your future needs, maybe for your tuition fees or something, maybe for your living expenses, for the miscellaneous expenses, and maybe you can just use that money and send it back home or something. Pretty much you can utilize it based on your preferences. A lot of people don't have that fortunate opportunity. If you have that opportunity, make sure that you grab it. Then the sixth major factor that you should consider for the colleges here is like the acceptance rate during the intakes. Now acceptance rate is something that you're not going to take seriously before applying, because you probably don't know if you're not going to get a rejection or not. But someone who has got a rejection knows the importance of acceptance rate. So this is how it goes. The acceptance rate is basically a percentage of the number of students selected divided by the number of applications received. If a college has a acceptance rate of somewhere around 30%, that means they are selecting 30 students out of 100 applications that they're getting. If a college says they are somewhere around like 49%, that means 49 students are selected out of 100 students, and the numbers usually go less with the higher ranking of colleges. The better college you choose, the lesser chances of you getting into that college is. And you know what, like there's a fact about the fall intake. This is usually the most popular intake, as we said before, but there's a reason why it is the most popular intake. If you are someone who is still studying in a college or university, you are gonna face stiff competition from the people who have been like in colleges years before you. they are the experienced professionals who have been in the industry for 5 to 6 years. They also apply for the same course in the same university or the college that you're applying for, and the university, the management has to take a decision in choosing you or them. So if a situation arises, they will choose the experienced professionals above you because they have more knowledge, and the university or the college knows that they will succeed the course more than you. So it depends on how you're going to process the application, but yeah, usually this is the scenario how it goes. If they are a better candidate, you will face rejection for that. So acceptance rate is a big factor to consider. So if you are someone who is applying for the fall intake, a lot of applications are coming. Trust me, this is a time when a lot of applications from the experienced professionals, the international students, the students who are currently ongoing in the like bachelor's or something. So it's a very difficult time for the colleges to choose candidates sometimes, and they end up choosing 1 or 2 out of 100. So it's as bad as that. But in terms of winter intake, I would say the acceptance rate is comparatively high than the fall intake. It's not a lot much high, but still decently high enough. So you still have much better chances of getting an admission into the desired course in the desired university or college that you're applying for, compared to applying for the fall intake. If you're someone who is applying for the summer intake, the chances are very less that you will find your desired course for the same exact intake. But still, if you have that desired course, you can still apply, and you have the most amount of chances to secure your admission here in this intake, because a lot less international applications are coming for this intake. That usually turns out to be a lot more students selected for the given applications received. So you have the highest chances of getting an admission during the May intake, the least chances of getting during the fall intake, and a medium chances of getting during the winter intake. Now, a seventh major factor to consider is the visa rejections. Trust me, I have been in this process. A lot of my friends have been in this process. They had to leave their education, they had to defer their education. Deferring means you are like delaying your intake to the next. They had to wait for semesters 1 or 2 just because of their visa rejection or the visa decision. So you have to make sure how the trends are usually working for you. And in my experience, what I have known is like, if you are someone who is applying for the fall, which is like the most popular intake again, and it is an intake where you will face a lot of competition in terms of visa as well, because a lot of applications are coming, and Canadian government usually wants to strictly check the applications and send only the ones who they feel is good enough for their country. So sometimes it happens like, even if you are a good applicant, you may end up getting a rejection for visa. Maybe you have to reapply for the visa, and you have to look somewhere else, rather than like wasting time into waiting for the decision all the time. The visa rejections for fall are a lot. In terms of winter, visa rejections are less compared to the fall, as we said, because a lot less applications are coming, a lot less people are trying to move during the winter. And then in terms of summer, I would say again the visa rejections are very less. That means that gives you the opportunity to apply for the course, and you probably have higher chances of getting a visa during that time. It's as simple as that. The chances of getting a visa during fall are very less, and during winter are like, it's more than fall, it's slightly more, not a lot. And for summer, it's like very high. There's a lot higher chance of getting a visa during the summer intake. The eighth factor that you should consider while choosing your intake is the scholarship opportunities. Now, if you are someone who is like being an academic scholar throughout your education, who has been scoring like 90%, 80%, you would expect to have some sort of money back guarantee, so that funds your education and like gives you less burden on you or your parents who is paying for the education, because education is very expensive here in Canada, just like US as well. But then you have to make sure that you are investing in the right way possible, and scholarships are the best way possible for you to reduce your burden and get the most out of it. That's what I would say. So if you are someone who is like applying for the fall intake, trust me, you have a lot of scholarship opportunities for you guys. The Canadian government, not just the Canadian government, a lot of the universities here are public universities. A lot of these are like public funded colleges, so they do have their own personalized way of looking into scholarships, like research scholarships, research partnerships, or maybe some sort of like stipend related working, teaching assistantship, some sort of job roles, or some sort of scholarship opportunities for you guys because of the academics, or maybe some other talents that you may have, like you may have possessed. Like for example, I had a friend who was a national football team captain, so he got a scholarship of around 50% while he went to USA to do his masters up here. So these kind of scholarships are always there. At the same time, I had a friend who carried around like 30 to 40% tuition scholarship for the good excellent marks for the TOEFL and the GRE exam that he possessed. These are the kind of ways you have to find out. If you want, like, let me tell you about the websites where you can take a look. Just let me know in the comment section. I'll make a video on like where are these websites or where are the resources where you can like look out for the scholarship opportunities. But then make sure that you are making the best out of it. If you are a fall student, there's a good chance that you will have a lot of scholarship opportunities, because a lot of these universities and the Canadian government itself, they provide a lot of these scholarships where you can like you can apply for those scholarships and probably you can get it as well. But if you're someone who is coming for the winter, trust me, it's very difficult to get a scholarship, because scholarships are usually targeted towards the fall intake students. But then it depends on the university and the kind of country or the region where you're going. Maybe that state government or the Canadian government itself do have some sort of new scholarships provided for the winter intake students. I'm not saying it's no, but it's very less. But if you're someone who is coming for the May intake, forget about getting a scholarship, because usually you're coming at a intake where like most of the students are actually taking a break. So university is basically keeping this intake just for the namesake, to get new students and get more of the advertisement through the courses that they're providing. But this is definitely not the intake if you're looking for scholarships. If you are someone who's looking for scholarships, you can maybe end for 3 to 4 months more and like get into the next intake, that is a fall batch, and you pretty much like are eligible for getting scholarships during that time. The ninth major factor to consider while looking for intakes, while choosing the intake in Canada, is the campus life limitations that you will have. So campus life limitations, like, it depends on like the kind of facilities that your college is providing. Like, I personally have known colleges where they provide recreational facilities, sometimes something like gym, library, the sports arenas, the field, indoor stadium, outdoor stadium. So they provide all these kind of facilities during 2 terms, but not in 1 term. I know a few universities who do this thing. So basically, if you are coming for the fall term, you pretty much have the access to all the resources that the university provides. If you are someone who is coming for the winter term, you pretty much again have the same access to all the surroundings that we just talked about. And it depends university to university sometimes, but 99% of the time they have these resources available for the winter intake as well. But if you're someone who is coming for the May intake, there's a good chance that you may not have these kind of facilities during your initial semester. But then again, it's just the break semester. That's the reason why you're not gonna have these facilities, because this is a time when most of the students are not coming to college and you are the only ones who is coming to college. Now, the last 10th factor to consider when you're actually looking for the intake in Canada is the deadlines. Now, what is deadlines? Okay, basically deadlines are like the last date when you should be applying for the course, for the desired course in the desired university or a college. This is how it goes. Like, if you're someone who is applying for the fall intake, you know that this is the most popular intake and a lot of applications are coming from all around the world. So you don't want to miss out on your chances into getting an admit just because you didn't apply at the right time. So make sure you are applying at the right time. And the deadlines for September intake, the fall intake usually goes somewhere around the end of January or February, but you can always like apply as soon as possible. So usually the application portal opens somewhere around the month of previous September or October. This is the most popular intake and a lot of applications are coming in. So seats are limited and the competition grows year by year. So you don't want to be missing out on that. If you are someone who is applying for the winter intake, the deadlines usually stay close somewhere around like June to July, But for me it was like at September. My university, like, they actually extended further because they knew a lot of international students were still having their studies and they were still yet to get their degree certificates. So I had to wait for my degree certificate to apply for my university. If you are in such a situation, make sure the university is providing that kind of a facility for you. If not, you should probably look into the next intake that you should get for the desired course. In terms of May intake, the deadlines usually stay around like November or December, but you can be a little bit relaxed in terms of like applying for the applications because this is not as popular as the other intakes. But make sure if you are applying for the fall intake, apply as soon as possible. It's same goes applies for other intakes as well, don't take me wrong, but then if you're someone applying for fall intake, you should take it seriously because you are be competing with the best applications all around the world. So that's it guys, that's it for the video. These are the 10 reasons, the 10 major factors that I wanted to tell you to consider while taking your decision of like when should you be starting your education in Canada. I'm pretty much sure that by this time you should know which is the category you belong to and how you should be choosing your intake for yourself. But if you still need some help in figuring it out, let me give you a thumb rule how it goes. If you are a student who is still pursuing the education, make sure you apply as soon as possible for the fall intake. If you don't get, winter intake is the best shot for you guys, because if you have your desired intake, desired course in the winter intake, you can pretty much go for it, because even though the climatic conditions are not as good as like the fall and all, but yeah, these are the things that you can like take into your mind, and you can like, it's a mental game, right? You have to prepare yourself for this game, and you can like pretty much get into the desired intake and the desired course rather than like just waiting for another year. But if you're someone who is an experienced professional who knows what you're working for, and you know that you're gonna do this job, you just want to change the country from wherever you are to Canada, here's how it goes. If you want to apply for the fall intake, because that gives you most of the job opportunities that you can get. You will have job fairs, and you will graduate around a time when you have a lot of job opportunities, so you have that ability to ace the interviews because you already have a lot of experience back in your home country. So that's how it goes. But if you're someone who is not having an experience but had to miss out on the Jan and the September as well, make sure you look into May intake if your desired course is available or not. If it's available, just apply for the May intake, and like you're pretty much good to go with that. And there are higher chances of getting an admit for the May intake as well, since the applications are less. But if you're someone like your desired courses is not available during the May intake, just wait for the fall. You don't have any other choice. You just wait for the fall and apply for the fall, because that's the best time to come to Canada as well. So hope is always there. Just don't make the wrong decision like at the right time. No, the wrong decision at the wrong time. No, the right decision just make the right decision at the right time. That's how it is. Trust me guys, don't depend on the agents, don't depend on the consultancies, don't waste your money on these things. At the end of the day, they are not gonna help you. They are gonna suggest you things based on how it is benefiting them. So I am here because I know I've been like doing the process by myself, so I know how to help you out. I just want to let you know which is the right way to look at it, so that you can like figure it out by yourself, and you know you are the champions. That's how it goes guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure you're liking this video, because that's how I come to know that you are actually liking this video. And also subscribe to my channel, and I'll be coming up with a lot of videos with a lot of answers to the questions that you have. I think it's a pretty long video. Okay guys, so thanks for watching this video until the end, and see you in the very next video. Bye bye.